What is up? Monday morning. So I haven't really closely looked at the charts just yet, but you'll pretty much see me analyze it like pretty much live. Sunday afternoon for you, Lex. Yeah. What's up, Joel? What's up, TA? What's up, Sean? Yeah, so I'm just gonna like sort of do a bit of a zoom out, pick a higher time frame, and try to get a bit of perspective before I sort of dive into any kind of analysis. 4 hourly. I mean, 4 hours probably plenty for like zooming out. What do we got? So we're still in this squeeze. There's no doubt about that. You know, the last 4 days have been quite flat and, you know, small activity. So Thanksgiving being back here somewhere, and then, you know, we've just been chopping sideways. So, one moment. Thanksgiving being the 24th. Yeah, it's going to be a big week, I think. There's quite a few things that are going to be coming out as far as announcements go. If we check out the calendar, where are we? Okay, so the calendar for this week, what are we? The 28th of November today. Let me just filter out what's happening in Australia. And maybe I'll change it to New York time, since I think the majority of you guys are in the US, so you can measure it off that rather than Australian time. Eastern, here we go. Alright, so let's turn on Dark Reader so I don't blind you all. And we are currently here. So tomorrow there's an FOMC member speaking, but it's not like a high impact event there. But what do we got? Fed Chair Powell speaks on Wednesday. Consumer confidence comes out on Tuesday. GDP figures Wednesday. Yeah, all of these red folders here. Core PCE price index, JOLTS job openings. So yeah, there's a few things this week coming up that have a significant, or can have a significant impact on the sentiment and, you know, the direction of the market. So that's pretty much what we should be sort of, I guess, looking at. And then in about 2 weeks' time, just over 2 weeks' time, it's like 2 weeks and a day. 2 weeks and a day is we have the new CPI figures coming out. So we'll see what inflation's up to, and then we have the federal funds rate the following day, so on Wednesday. So that's like, you know, basically smack bang in the middle of December, leading into Christmas, right? So just looking at Bitcoin right now, we're still sort of focusing on this apex situation that we got going on, whether it's this one or this one. I think in the last stream we were still looking at those and waiting for some kind of move outside of that. So what have we got left? The daily candle has 1 hour and 51 minutes to go. And of course the weekly as well. So this is basically a weekly candle close stream. Sunday evening for you guys in the US, Monday morning for me. So if I just turn all the drawings off for a moment, just to look at the candles. What do we got here? So this was the FTX week, of course. Following week was a bit of a doji, like not much happened there. I mean, there were definitely highs and lows, a little bit of volatility, but for the most part, we closed out with no real direction decided yet. Whereas this week has been a bit more of a commitment to the upside for now. You know, we'll see how long that lasts. I think the fact that next week have a lot of like those releases of data as far as the calendar goes, that could drive you know, Bitcoin to its new trend. Something else is the whole Grayscale Genesis thing. There's no outcome with that yet, so it's kind of just looming, and that's perhaps why we've just remained stagnant for now. We haven't really moved anywhere outside of this area, this zone, right? So yeah, that's what we're looking at time-wise. We're looking at the end of the week, just about to close. And yeah, the daily candle, so the Sunday candle here, is at least nice and green. Quite flat in comparison to the action that we've had. So let me just quickly put out the notifications via Twitter and Discord, just so that people know that the stream is on, because some people may get their notifications that way. So I'll just be a second. There we go, all sorted. Let's get back to it. So right now, let's zoom in on the smaller time frames. Bitcoin's currently pushing up to potentially test this trend line here that we've been stuck under for a number of days now. It's been quite a while. And, you know, I think a rejection is on the cards at that level. So currently, if we were to do it in either this candle or the next candle, like coming up, that puts us at about a $16,620 test of resistance. So if we can crack above that, then that's great. But you know, we'll still probably like back test it. And if it remains optimistic, there's still like a lot of pivots to deal with. We've got a lot of lines of support and resistance. So, well, resistance in this case. So these being the pivot points that we have to keep our eye on. So these two here, they're the same pivots, same level, right? Same level of resistance. And then, yeah, on a smaller time frame, we're dealing with these. But you can see, yeah, there's a lot of work to do before we can be optimistic about any kind of rally. But yeah, you know, Bitcoin, it can certainly shoot through them very quickly in a matter of, you know, an hour, in some cases, or, you know, a few hours. But yeah, a catalyst, I'm like of the camp that thinks that a catalyst needs to happen for any kind of real like movement in the market. There are technical setups that cause markets to move too, don't get me wrong, but in a big macro perspective fashion, I think the fundamental stuff like news-driven events cause these big moves. Perfect example, the FTX thing, right? So there's that. As far as EMAs go, so we're like tracking what's happening with the moving averages. Everything's looking good, of course, on the 1 minute. The 5 minute is bullish. 15 minute we're on top of things on the 15 minute, the 200. See, price is riding the 200, even though we're chopping sideways. The 1 hour is basically similar. We've got support beneath us now with the EMAs. And I think the 4 hour still needs a bit of work. Yeah, so this is currently where we're at. We've worked our way from 1 minute all the way up to the 4 hour chart with the 200 moving average. So this is the next sort of area to get up on top of. Otherwise, yeah, we're still in a downtrend. We're still bearish at the moment. So yeah, I guess it is still fair to say that you could be looking for short opportunities just for the simple fact that we have not got above that 200 yet on the higher time frames, being the 4 hours and up. I think oscillators, they're erring on the side of overbought. It's a neutral overbought. It's not that strong yet on the hourly chart, but and the 4 hour chart and the daily I think are quite neutral. There's plenty of headroom on the daily. You can see that RSI could really start to come up here and test the overbought areas. So yes, Honest AF, smash the likes. Thanks for reminding me to let everyone know. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Smash it up, hit subscribe, like and subscribe. All right, let's have a quick look at Doge as well, because it's been doing some interesting things over the past 8, 12, 24 hours. There was this like sort of bull pennant or symmetrical triangle forming on Dogecoin right here, and we popped out the top, except we haven't like really taken off yet. We haven't come up and tested the previous high just yet, but it is still looking good. It's still looking optimistic. We've got higher lows all the way up. We just need to figure out what this current shape is doing for us. I think it's bullish. That's kind of obvious. T Black, the $2 thumbs up. Thanks, my dude. Appreciate the support. Let's see. So let's check out the EMAs as well. Obviously, they're going to be pretty good. They're going to be looking pretty bullish. Massive bounce off the 200 right here. So, rallied above it, came to back test. This is the 15-minute chart, of course. And then huge launch off that with, even riding support of the 50 even, right? So that's one way to trade, is like, if you can strictly be an EMA trader. You don't have to focus solely on support, resistance, or oscillators. I mean, the EMA is somewhat of an on-chart oscillator, kind of. But yeah, you can see as soon as price pops above the 200, that's when things really start to get bullish. And you can play these EMAs on any time frame, really. Even let's look at the 1 minute chart. If you're a scalper, price, riding below the 200 here. So these are short. You would take short entries when it's finding the 200 as resistance, right? When price pops above the 200, which is our white line, you look for long opportunities. So going long, buying. And if it's looking really bullish, it'll use the 50 or the 20 EMA as support, and there's evidence of that all through here, right? And then if that breaks, it's not the end of the world, because you've still got the 200 that can catch you in that regard. So this is a good way to like scalp, is using EMAs just to see like where things are headed. Now, when things are really flat, like we've been in a bit of a flat mode in the last like couple of hours here on Doge. There's no real committed direction just yet. So things are squeezing down. And, generally speaking, when you get a squeeze, there's going to be an explosion in volatility again. So just judging by this, if this is playing out as a bullish continuation pattern, then we're going to get, you know, a continuation up of and riding this 200 as support. So, you know, like just assuming the stance of a bull right now, and this isn't financial advice, but this would be like your entry kind of zone when you back test the 200 EMA. With a stop, you know, a reasonable stop would be below these lows here, because you don't want to be in it if price is going to break structure here, and especially when you start getting these fast EMAs crossing below the 200, that's a signal that you know, the tide's turning, and you don't want to be in a long at that point. You know, maybe you could switch to a short, but yeah, it's still early to call that. They haven't crossed yet. This is like the first signal of things turning, is when the 20 crosses below the 50. And mind you, yes, we're on the 1 minute chart, so it doesn't have that heavy of an effect. You have to sort of go up to the higher time frame. So let's go back to the 15 minute, because that's where we were initially. So yeah, price has been above the 200 on the 15 minute chart since the 23rd of November. So it's been a good, you know, 5 days here. I think, yeah, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're now 6th day above the 200 on the 15 minute chart. So, and yeah, at the moment, it's currently like even just finding somewhat support on the 20 still, which is bullish to me. The zone between the 50 and the 20, you get like a dirty test of the 20. So there's like, you know, entry opportunity there too. And if you start seeing candles like hammers, like this one, for example, that's a hammer. That green candle there is like kind of telling you that, you know, this zone has been bought and there's support here. You know, this area here was a pivot, you know, a pivot from this to that. Same with this one, pivot from this to that. And that's depicted by the long tweezer, these like these wicks on the bottom side here. So there's a couple of little things like that that you can track and follow to sort of give you an understanding of where price might be shifting or pivoting. And then let's tie that back to Bitcoin, because we've got a bit of that happening on the higher time frames, like the daily. We've got some wicks on the bottom side, which is kind of optimistic, right? We've pivoted here. Got some decent wicks on the bottom. This was a massive wick on the bottom, but it was a bit of a hanging man. So it's like a candle, like a hammer that appears at the top of a move. Whereas the bullish hammer is a hammer that appears at the bottom of a move. So the bottom of that move, shifting it up. But anyway, even let's go to the weekly chart. Let's just zoom in a bit, because everything's a bit squashed. But you can see there's, in the last 3 weeks here, we've got evidence of buying, demand, right? We've got demand below 16,200, 16,300-ish, like with the close and opens of these weekly candles. So that's a good start. That's how trends reverse, right? You only have to look at previous pivots to see that. Like, you know, there's heaps of it happening here. It's happening here, it's happening there. And then it's the same on the top side. You get long wicks to signal pivoting, right? Price pivots. The all-time high of Bitcoin had a very nasty wick. You know, even this one would have scared a lot of people. That pivot, that's quite a nasty wick right there. But yeah, the highs of the initial push to 65K had a lot of wicking on top. So we just could not crack 60,000 with any weekly closes above 60 at that stage. But yeah, that's the whole point I'm trying to make here, is that the wicks kind of are evidence of either oversupply or over demand, like lots of demand coming in. So that's kind of optimistic. Like that's a good start. That's potentially we're going to see a bit of a relief off this FTX drop that we've had. And I will go over a couple of alts that have already found a lot of relief off the drop, the FTX drop. BNB being one of them. Surprise, surprise, because they are, big direct competitor of FTX. So back to Doge. It's really like looking for this support at the moment. Let's jump up to a higher time frame. We are very elevated away from EMAs right now. They're trying hard to catch up to price, but because of these explosive moves that we've had up, naturally the EMAs need time to catch up. So Doge would basically need to chop sideways for a bit before the EMAs come and meet the price. That's the kind of idea anyway for support. So for our chart, I mean, the fast EMAs have only just recently crossed up over the 200. And if we go up to the daily, yeah, we launched dramatically through all of this EMA activity. So it's looking cool. It's looking interesting for Dogecoin. I'm not even sure there is a 200 here because we don't have 200 weeks of data yet on this chart. Let me see. Yeah, it's only 177 bars. So we're close to getting a 200 EMA appearing for the first time, but not quite yet. You can kind of see if I go logarithmic view, turn auto on, you can see where the 50 started here. See the yellow line just appeared out of the blue right on this candle. That's because we're looking back 50 candles to get that. Or is this, yeah, what's this one? This is, so sorry, this is weeks. Oh wait, you count it the other way. My bad. The 50. Okay, so 50 candles of information gets you to that point. See? On the 50th candle, you get a result. And then same with the 20 EMA. You need 20 candles prior to be able to give you a result on the chart, if that makes sense. So we're waiting for that 200 weeks mark to kick in for this chart anyway, before we get a reading. All right. Possible testing of this 50 EMA. Like, there's been many occasions where we've only come and wicked through it, but then continued on the downtrend. This was looking optimistic. Like when we pushed to 16 cents, we were getting closes above. Like this close here was interesting because we are the first time we've closed above the 50 EMA on the weekly in quite some time. I think it was last year. It was the last time we got any kind of close late last year. So it's been a whole year basically. But those kind of, that market environment can only last so long. I know it feels like it's gonna go forever, like the so-called crypto winter, but I think the biggest driving factor at the moment is inflation and what the Fed's doing. So secondary to that are the big players in crypto like FTX, Genesis, Grayscale. They're under threat. Obviously FTX has already collapsed and they've filed for bankruptcy. But the Genesis Grayscale factor. Now, with Genesis and Grayscale, that's going to cause, movement downward or downward pressure on price, right? But if we get optimistic and positive news coming out from the FOMC and like the the CPI data, then that may soften the fall. Just like with FTX coming down recently, right? That created a lot of force downward, but we had some positive news come out about inflation going down. And the recent statement by that FOMC member saying that they're gonna ease, or they were hinting that they were gonna ease on the rate hikes. So you got two forces counteracting each other to soften the fall in price, and that could happen again. Like maybe Celsius, sorry, not Celsius, maybe Grayscale and Genesis come out and say, that it's over, like they have to, that they're going to collapse, and we get another instance of downward pressure. But then maybe, with in 2 weeks' time, we've got that news coming up, the CPI. If that's positive, then maybe that's enough to soften it once again. So that's how I see it. That's how I see sentiment, is you get these different events and forces playing on the price and the sentiment. But I still think that the obviously inflation and the interest rates, that plays more heavily on long-term, like the more of the macro movement, the macro trend, than say like a single event, like Luna, Terra Luna, and Celsius going down, and FTX going down. Like those are just like single black swan events that usually have a 1 week effect. The price falls for 1 week and then it stabilizes when everyone gets over it. They get over that bad news or the shock of that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me read some of these comments in here. I don't short nothing because I'm Doge to $1. Well, that's good. Bill would be proud. I think we are now on the floor. Yeah, it's possible. Parsi. Wolverine says, Rick, do you think Gamine is good? That's where I have my 300,000 Doge at. Should I take it out? I've never heard of Gamine. Is that an exchange? I'm not sure. It depends, like, on who's running the exchange, I suppose. Just go to the exchange list on CoinMarketCap. I've never heard of Gamine before. Oh, Gemini? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a huge typo. Gamine. If it doesn't exist, maybe it should. Maybe someone should come out with an exchange called Gamine. That's great. Yeah, it's not in this list. Yeah, not your keys, not your crypto, right? Yeah, probably Gemini, I think he's saying. But judging by this list, if you believe in this whole proof of reserve sort of approach that Binance is pushing, KuCoin's done it, Bitfinex has done it, Bybit, OKX, Crypto.com, they kind of had their hand forced. The community was like, hang on a minute, what are you up to? They got put under the spotlight, the microscope. Huobi. Seems like all of the Asian exchanges have done it, but a lot of the American ones are like not playing that game yet, except for Bitfinex. I think Bitfinex is American. I'm not sure. Let me see. Bitfinex is one of the oldest crypto exchanges, founded in 2012 and operated by the Hong Kong-based company iFinex. There you go. So it's another Asian exchange. Kraken, I think, is US based. Coinbase, obviously, run out of, I think, California. US based. I'm not sure where they're what state they run out of. But yeah, Binance US, of course, it says it in the name. Bitstamp, I think, is American. Yeah, doing research behind the exchange that you're on might ease your anxiety or your concerns a little, I think. I'm on Bybit. I'm not even sure where they're from. I know it's somewhere in Southeast Asia. Version trading platform feature an ultra-fast machine engine, quality customer service, and multilingual community support. Looking for the name of a country here, or a region. Benzu. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Zhu returned to China and worked for 7 years at XM, one of the largest forex brokerage companies in China. Okay, so it's a Chinese guy that went and studied in the US, moved back to China, worked at a forex company, and then launched Bybit in 2018. Where is it located? Here we go. Registered in the British Virgin Islands as Bybit Fintech Limited and is headquartered in Singapore. Yeah, okay, there we go. Interesting. So the British Virgin Islands, I guess that makes them kind of untouchable if that's where their jurisdiction is or whatever, their registration. Now, where in the world is the British Virgin Islands? Is that East Coast of America? Look it up. Thinking so. I'm thinking it's like near Bahamas and all that. Maybe I'm way off. No, I'm sort of right. This area. Next to the Bahamas, yeah. So the Bahamas is up here, Cuba, yeah. Cuba, sorry. Puerto Rico, yeah, right. Is this where Rihanna's from? Somewhere around here? I think so. By the way, while we're on a map, this is where FTX headquarters is. So there's the Bahamas. There's Miami, Florida. You can literally just jump over the water here and get to where he's hiding. It's the funny thing is it's even pinpointed on the map. Look at that, FTX headquarters. He's hiding in this building. So that guy, BitBoy Crypto, is actually harassing Sam Bankman-Fried to come out and talk to him. So he's walking around this neighborhood at the moment, or at least yesterday he was, trying to coax him out. Because it seems like no one else is, really. He hasn't been extradited, obviously. He hasn't, but the Bahamas police haven't come and arrested him or anything like that. But yeah, damn. I'm guessing one of these big yachts is Sam's, potentially. So he's got a quick escape if he needs to jump out. He's got a canal, and he can just take off, right? I'm surprised he hasn't tried to do that yet. Like, where's he gonna go next? But anyway, that's where he's at. Anyway, seemingly back to reality, but that was reality, which is kind of weird. It's a very crazy world, crypto. Yeah. Back to the charts. The charts feel more real, even though it's something digital and virtual. It seems like more like, yeah, price action and everything. At least it's like, yeah, it's like, it just, I don't know, it's weird. It's a very weird thing. Yeah, so over the next, say, 6 hours, who knows if anything happens, right? Maybe we get some more chop. Maybe we come down and test the bottom again of this wedge. You know, rejection off the top, test of the bottom again before maybe coming back up to test again and getting the break. Who knows? I'm sort of on the fence right now. There's no real true, like, you know, indication of direction just yet. It's very hard to call a direction when the market's doing this, you know? It's kind of like a 50-50 at this stage. Obviously, on the macro side, the technical setup here is downtrend, right? Lower highs, lower lows. That's, you know, but that's finite. That doesn't go forever. Just because a downtrend is happening doesn't mean that it can't pivot, and, you know, it doesn't mean we can't get a reversal of sorts. You know, you could even put the argument forward that we've got some kind of inverse head and shoulders like painting out as we speak. You know, if we call that the first shoulder, the left shoulder, this has been the head potentially, and then maybe we do break down out of this and then find support on, like, say, $16,000 before moving up and breaking the neckline and recovering. Like that's possible, right? So yeah, watch this space. There's not a whole lot more I can really talk about as far as you know, direction. It's all up to the charts, and we just have to wait it out and let the charts show us what's going to happen. That's why I've got these thick white lines here, because to me those are that's the important structure in the here and now, right? That's what I'm keeping my eye on right now. So 23 people at the moment. That's cool. Got a little bit of action. I'm definitely going to be streaming during the CPI figures release and the FOMC rate decision, the interest rate decision. So hopefully that gets a bit of activity back on the channel. So that's cool. 26 people, 26 likes right now. That's it's good to see. I think what's the peak been today? 30 people. Very nice. 30 is like considering where we're at, 30 as a metric is okay. That's optimistic, I think. Yeah, when the bull market really kicks off, that's when you'll see like brand new people coming across the channel, like as more people search you know, for crypto and Bitcoin and Doge and that kind of thing, and you know, there'll be a whole new generation of people to teach and to learn this stuff, and we'll be here for them. So yeah, that's the whole point of the channel, I suppose. It's kind of like a landing pad, you know, a launch pad for people to come in. What's the word? Like it's a nursery, I suppose you could say. It's like a crypto nursery. And you know, it's cool to see that a lot of people that were getting into crypto last year through hearing about Dogecoin and the GME pump and all that, and you know, everyday people just making like massive money out of nowhere. That brought in a lot of people, and some of you guys, I'm sure, were you know, coming in off that on that wave. The wave that got me in, I saw it on the news. The news was reporting about XRP exploding, going up, and that was early 2018. I knew about Bitcoin. I had a couple of friends talking about Monero and Dash and Bitcoin and Ethereum in late 2017. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. It sounds like Forex or whatever, like just people are trading something. And then yeah, the XRP news story on the mainstream media, like that's what opened my eyes. I'm like, damn, there's some way to make money for just like the average Joe. So, and then that sparked it all. And then yeah, pretty much getting into trading in crypto at essentially the pivot. It was the blow off top of Bitcoin, and I learned to trade, or tried to learn to trade, in a bear market. Everything was heading down. I could only go long, so it made it very hard. There was no shorting options because there was no like futures market yet. At least not to me. I didn't know much about it at that stage. And last year to me was my first time getting into futures and leverage and that kind of thing. So that's been a big learning curve. And obviously still lots to learn, always lots to learn and develop. But you know, if I find anything noteworthy, I'll be sure to pass it on and make videos about it and teach people if there's anything that's worth learning, you know. All right, just trying to think, is there anything else that we could cover? I mean, I'm probably just going to leave this stream on until the daily candle close and the weekly close as well. It's the same, you know. That's going to be interesting to see how that closes out, because then, you know, that locks in the structure, the candles that we've got. It's looking like it will close green, the daily, and the weekly looks like it's going to close green too. And, you know, you could argue that that's a bit of a hammer. It's got a bit of a wick on the top side, but the cool thing about it is the bottom wick is a lot longer than the top one. And, you know, the candle is green. We've got just over an hour left of this week. So, yeah, fingers crossed we don't get any kind of flash crash down to here or something in that time. But, yeah, we'll see. All right, I might just answer a few questions or catch up with the chat here. 1 second. How much money do I need to start a crypto exchange? Yeah, good question. Maybe a couple of million. I don't know. Maybe you could do what FTX did and, like, I don't know, create some kind of native token to your new exchange and get people to invest into it, and still use funds and take it to the leverage markets and try your luck amplifying it. Don't do that. I don't even know. I wouldn't know the first thing about making an exchange. Setting up wallets, making a website. Yeah. Because, you know, the whole thing with these central exchanges, they hold the keys to these wallets, to their clients' wallets, right? She's from Trinidad. Okay. Yep. That's how that's how delayed I am at reading comments here. Sorry about that. Can I give my input on Matic? Yeah, I'll have a look at Matic. Next month will be Dojember. Yeah, could be. You're welcome, Hussey. You're welcome. Matt Yick. Matic. Yeah, paying for service to stay online. True that, true that. And if you get like a hell of a lot of customers, like clients coming through, it means you need to up your server output, I guess, to be able to handle the traffic. So yeah, there would be a lot of overheads, I'm guessing, with running an exchange, but the key would be like, yeah, getting your own token started up and creating like marketing around customers buying into that. Like, yeah, and you need a liquidity provider, yeah, all those kind of things. I don't think it would be terribly easy. You need a lot of money to begin with. What were we looking at? Matic. Let's look at Matic. Oh yeah, and that's what I was going to look at. BNB, to see how it held up and how it's recovered since the FTX collapse. So you can pretty much see the FTX collapse on any chart on all the alts, and especially Solana, and you know, Bitcoin got a hit, but yeah, pretty much every chart. So if you take, let's do this. Let's take the highest point since before the FTX collapse, like, you know, relatively high, like local high, all the way to the bottom of the collapse. And Matic hasn't even come up above the 2.36 yet, the fib. So there's still a lot of room to recover there. If we're going to recover, there's still a lot of space above us. Let me open up the BNB chart because I think you'll find that interesting. Okay. If it will load. Here we go. All right. Let's go to the daily. You can see I've already been looking at it. I'm going to take out that, I'm going to ignore that spike up because that was a bit anomalous, I suppose. And that was an anomaly. This is another anomaly, and this, yeah. That's Jolt. That's a quote from Jolt. All right, yeah, FTX collapse, bang. Look at this. We're already back up testing the 618. So BNB has already halfway recovered off the FTX drama. So yeah, if you want to get into an alt that has a bright future, I think as long as Binance stays transparent and for the people, and you know, all that good shit. As long as, yeah, I think Binance is one to watch. I think it's a pretty decent project of the big boys. I know that it is an FT, like a central exchange native token, which is kind of like, you know, what's its real use case? It's pretty much just to support the operations of Binance. But hey, if it moves, it moves. If it makes money, like, do you really care that much about the underlying asset? You know, it's not like you're investing in it long term, right? If you're just looking to trade it, it's profitable. You know, why not? If there's movement, you may as well trade it. It's not like you're marrying it or anything like that. Just you're just exploiting the movement. And yeah, a hell of a lot of people would be right now. 22nd of November, what's this, about 6 days? It's gone up 27% from the tip to tip. And it's currently in some kind of a consolidation, just like Doge has been in, some kind of pennant structure. It dipped out here, so this was a very dirty test of the bottom of the pennant here. But yeah, you can see it's come up and tagged the top. This is what I love about trend lines. You know, if you just take the pivot points, they're gonna react. Like, more often than not, you're gonna get a reaction off the trend line. Trend lines are awesome. Lines of support and resistance and trend lines. You want to be looking at those almost all the time, right? I feel like those two things have the most influence on direction and, you know, where price is headed. Now these fall under the category of market structure, especially support resistance, right? That's how you basically identify market structure. And trend lines basically adhere to the structure. So you've got a structure of lower highs here and lower lows. This is somewhat of a falling wedge, and patterns are created off the structure, right? Falling wedge, bullish breakout, which is pretty textbook there. So yeah, I think I'm going to look at BNB a lot more often now. I mean, I think, yeah, the other day someone in a different Discord posted a video criticizing Binance and saying that it was just another FTT. I'll tell you something that's very fundamentally flawed with that that hypothesis or that opinion, is that Binance isn't embezzling funds. Like they're not using clients' funds, their customers' funds, to go out and make leverage trades and buy $1 million mansions, multi-million-dollar mansions in the Bahamas. Binance is, they've got bigger ambitions in mind than just CZ going out and buying a yacht. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think they're a lot more trustworthy than any other exchange out there, to be honest. They're like leading the way. They're putting their hand up and saying everyone should prove their reserves. They initiated that. He's got nothing to hide. That's I mean, until proven otherwise, until he does something dodgy, there's no reason not to trust Binance and CZ. That's my opinion. A lot of people love to hate on him, but and there's no doubt he's burned other players in the game. Like, so his competitors, he's a businessman. He's running a business. He's operating Binance. It's in his interest to take down competition, I suppose. At the moment, he's head and shoulders above everyone in competition. So yeah, other players aren't really a threat to him. And Binance, I think Binance is doing just fine. They don't need to do anything dodgy. They're already winning, doing everything that they're doing, and they seem to care solely about the health of crypto as its own industry, right? The crypto industry is what they have in mind. The success of crypto is the success of their exchange, right? So there you go. If he's done dodgy things, please share it in the chat. If I'm way off, just tell me. But yeah, I don't know, like, you have to draw the line somewhere. You can't just blanket statement say that just because of the FTX fiasco, all exchanges are dodgy. Everyone's out to steal money. Everyone's out to rob the everyday people. I don't think that's the case. Right. So yeah, no doubt there's a lot of conspiracy and around the central exchanges and what they get up to and shit. But yeah, Crypto Fanatic 69 says, "Hey Rick, I blame you." Well, fair enough. You can blame me if you want. Man, I wish I had any kind of influence. It would mean that I have some money. I'm not that. I'm not like that. Far from it. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what I wanted to show you with BNB, was that they're already halfway recovered. They're way beyond that. They're like more than halfway recovered off the FTX collapse. I think Doge is even holding up amazing after FTX, right? Let's check it out. Let's do a fib retracement on that. So here's the high. Let's get a date on it. Let me go to the daily on Bitcoin. So things really started to crash. Let's call it 6th of November. So Doge, 6th of November. All right, here's the FTX collapse, this part of Doge. So Doge had the benefit of starting all the way up here. Like, it got almost to 16 cents. And, you know, it was lifted to a good starting point for this kind of bullshit to take place. So let's take 6th of November. We'll take the top of the wick from 6th of November just as like a reference, and then all the way to the bottom most point. And much like BNB, Doge is knocking on the door of the 618 fib level. So it's doing very well. It's recovering pretty handsomely out of the shit show, right? Matic, I think Matic has a lot more work to do. So yeah, the good thing about Matic is it saw a decent rise before the collapse. So it had a good starting point. And so did Solana, actually. I'm going to look at Solana too. But yeah, I would be surprised if this even comes close to... let's take it from here anyway. Where's 6th? Okay, let's just go here. That's fine. Yeah, it's still knocking on the door of the 236. This is the same starting point, the top wick, the high of the 6th of November. Let's go to Solana. Solana is still shattered. Okay, top of the 6th of November. We're down to the bottom. I mean, it's still figuring itself out. It's still probably bleeding. It's nowhere near the 236, so it's got a ways to recover still. But yeah, I think I'm still positive on Solana. I still think it belongs in the space. There's no fundamental flaw there. Shiba, where's the 6? Right there. So it was already kind of correcting off this move, and then FTX just pushed it over the cliff. It's above the 236, so that's looking okay. Doge is already back to 618, so it's leading the way there as far as the DOGE coins are concerned. All right, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go back to Bitcoin and just check the micro.